Ebony here, hope you're having a wonderful day. So today's video is going to be about hypothyroidism and particularly my experience with it. One of you guys actually wrote a comment and suggested this video and I just was like, why have I not done this before? So anyway, here we are. Okay, so let's just rewind to when I found out I had hypothyroidism. So this was back when I'd lost my period and I had really like big hormonal imbalances and just things weren't functioning properly. So basically I found out because I had my hormones tested at the doctor and then they were like, your thyroid levels are really low. So I went to my like natural health store and I picked up a supplement which I actually do still take to this day because it is the best one, which I'll get into in a bit later in the video. Yeah, I actually got my own supplements and I kind of just took it, but I didn't really pay much attention to my thyroid back then because I was like so focused on everything else, like getting my period back. Back then I didn't realise how much of a big link all of this really was. Now let's just talk about some signs and symptoms of hypothyroidism. So you can get things like cold temperature, so you can feel really cold very easily, tiredness, constipation, menstrual cycle problems, hormonal imbalances, that kind of goes in the same thing. Along with that, acne, and another one that's very common is weight gain. Now this was a funny one for me because I actually lost weight when I found out I had hypothyroidism. I didn't actually have a problem with weight gain, but now that I know I have it, now that I've put on the weight and I've got myself, you know, functioning properly, I actually do notice now you have a little bit of stomach fat. I find it is a little bit harder to really budge that off. So ones that I definitely have and still have now is I always feel cold, like my hands and feet, my circulation to my hands and feet is just not great, which is fab going into winter. I would say before I started treating myself, yes, I did feel tired more. I definitely had constipation more. And of course, if you watch my other videos, I definitely suffered with acne. But I can definitely say now, before getting into the video, like when I tell you what I've done, I pretty much have reversed all of it. Now, a mistake I made is that when I got my period back and everything started functioning properly, I actually stopped taking the supplements. I thought, oh, my thyroid must be functioning fine now. Like, I got my period back, everything's all great. But one thing that didn't stop was my acne. Now, when I actually started using natural cycles, which is the natural contraceptive, like where you take your basal temperature in the morning, this is actually when I realised, oh my god, I still have a problem with my thyroid. Because basically, if your basal temperature is under 36.6, then that is a sign of hypothyroidism. It doesn't mean you definitely have it, but it is a sign. Now, when I first started doing natural cycles and I found out about this, I looked at my temperatures because I had all my records and I was like, oh my god, my temperature was coming up like 36.2, 36.3 was very common, but it was definitely in that ballpark. And the only time I really went up to like the 36.6 and above was, I think it's like around menstruation or like leading up to when your temperature does rise. I went back to my health store and I got the supplement. So the supplement that I take is the Biocare TH207. I've definitely mentioned it in other videos when I talk about supplements and things like that. This for me has just been the best supplement for my thyroid. The way I knew it was working was my acne was clearing up so much. My body in general was actually starting to function a lot better. So by those results, I'm seeing, okay, suddenly taking this supplement, my body was responding so well. Now, underactive thyroid can be a sign of an iodine deficiency. So these tablets, they contain iodine. They also contain selenium, which is really important. It helps actually the conversion of your like thyroid hormones, your T3 and T4, and it's filled with so many other like minerals and elements which are really important for thyroid health. I just feel like ingredients wise, looking at it, it is just a really well thought out and well put together supplement. Other supplements that I take that I feel like have really worked for me is vitamin D3. I take the liquid form by Solgar, and not only do I take this because I mean I live in a country where we don't get too much sunlight. It's very common to be deficient in vitamin D. I actually do find that since taking it, my body functions have been much better. So I take that and I noticed really great benefits from taking it. I also take vitamin B12 because I don't eat meat. That's just something that I need to make sure that I'm getting enough of. And actually vitamin B12 is very linked with thyroid function. So if you are someone who doesn't eat meat, whether you're vegan or vegetarian, then I really do recommend looking into that. I've actually recently switched my B12. I was taking it in a tablet form, but now I take it in a liquid form. It's a B complex. Okay, a little bit off topic, but I've noticed like not even just with my thyroid, just other things. Like for example, my nails have got so much stronger since taking this B complex. Just overall my hair has been like healthier, and I think it's because it has a bit of biotin in there as well, which is really good for that kind of stuff. But I find that having the B complex, and also for my energy as well, because B12 is linked with energy, but I think all the other B vitamins are really important as well, and as well for your cells in general in your body, which we're completely made up of. So yeah, those 3 supplements I do think are very important with thyroid health. So just make sure, you know, that you are covering those areas. And if you don't want to go for like the Biocare one that I said at the beginning, the TH207, just getting some kind of iodine supplement and just seeing if that helps you, because some people with hypothyroidism, basically you can have the autoimmune hypothyroidism, which is actually Hashimoto's disease, but then hypothyroidism can also be linked with just being deficient, which is exactly what I am. I think I'm just deficient in these minerals, so making sure I'm getting enough of them just manages my hypothyroidism. So the next thing that's really important I found is just making sure that you prioritize sleep. Now your thyroid is actually the most active at night, so if you're looking after your thyroid health, getting good sleep should definitely be a priority for you. Something that I learned you need to be careful of is goitrogens. Now these are in cruciferous vegetables, so things like broccoli and cabbages. Basically what goitrogens do is they basically block iodine. So if your iodine's deficient and you know your body's trying to absorb the iodine, they kind of block that from happening. One thing to know about the goitrogens is it doesn't mean that you just can't touch them, because I still eat them. Like I still eat broccoli, I love a bit of broccoli, but one thing to know is it's better to cook them. Just don't eat them raw. If you cook them, they shouldn't be a problem for you. And like everything with diet, it's all about balance and moderation. And another thing you've got to like be wary of, you don't want to, you know, cut out all cruciferous vegetables, because they also have other benefits. Like for example, they're really great for detoxing excess estrogen out of our livers and just helping us with other functions when it comes to balancing our hormones. So just be aware of goitrogenic food and make sure you're having it in moderation, and make sure you're cooking it. Just do not have it raw. Something else that's really helped me, I don't know if it necessarily just links straight to the thyroid or if this is just like an in general thing, but as you know from past videos, I'm really into an anti-inflammatory diet. I would just only assume that having your body in an anti-inflammatory state would only help it. So yeah, that's something that I do, and I really do notice wonders, especially with my skin. I just want to quickly touch on losing weight if you've got hypothyroidism, because like I said, the symptom is gaining weight. It's not even just about gaining weight, it's like, you know, when you get stubborn belly fat, I feel like that can be a really common symptom and just something that's really hard to tackle when you've got hypothyroidism. Now I am naturally a very petite person, but if I do put fat on, as I've gotten older and my hormones have changed, I have noticed that I do put a little bit more fat onto the stomach area. This is like all very new experience for me, because throughout my whole childhood I never ever had this issue. Exercise that I personally have found is really effective getting rid of that stomach fat is HIIT training, and just anything like, for example, boxing. I love boxing. I love doing Tabata, which is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and you repeat that 8 times. Now it doesn't sound that hard when you say 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, but you will feel a burn. I like the whole theme of this video. The reason why you're putting fat on is because of your hormones. Like I also do notice that when my hormones shift, especially with my period as well, it's very interesting. There's definitely certain times of the month I'm much leaner than other times. So something that can make your hypothyroidism worse is actually stress. So making sure that you are managing that as well is very important. Self-love for me is really like de-stressing. I'm really like into lists and organization and like dream boards and that kind of stuff. Just getting whatever's built up in my mind out and like on paper, whether it's like journaling or something, that can really be beneficial, and that's something that really does work for me. Your thyroid is basically here, and I can actually feel a bit of tightness in that area when I'm under stress. So yeah, if you feel like you always get like that kind of tight feeling in your throat, that could be linked to your thyroid. So yeah, it's just something to be wary of. Now in my last video, which was my 5 healthy daily habits which I never skip, one of them I spoke about was maca. Now maca, not only does it help with balancing your hormones, but it really does help your thyroid. Now what maca does is it actually works on your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland. Now your hypothalamus is kind of like it's like the kingpin. We call it the master endocrine gland, but basically it works on that, and it actually increases thyroid function. And another thing about maca is it actually contains a very small amount of iodine, which we already know is very important if you've got hypothyroidism. And also just another note about it is that I know that it is in the cruciferous vegetable family, but I've done my research on maca, and apparently like the levels of like goitrogens and things like that in maca is so small that it really shouldn't affect you unless you've got like the autoimmune autoimmune hypothyroidism, like for example Hashimoto's, then I probably wouldn't recommend it. But if you're just going off like deficiencies, then you should be fine with it. But now when it comes to actually, you know, my day-to-day diet and trying to explain that to you guys, like I actually did Google before doing this video, do a little bit of research. What is the typical diet they recommend for someone who's got hypothyroidism? I actually copied and pasted because I wanted to read it to you guys, because when I read this I was like, wow, literally this just describes me. So it just shows that from listening to my body, I've actually naturally found exactly what they recommend. It says you may find that changing your diet will help. One suggestion is to reduce or eliminate sugar, limit fruit, dairy and grains, and get your carbohydrates mainly from vegetables, while rounding out your diet with lean proteins and healthy fats. Eliminating sugar, I talk about sugar all the time, the effects of it on my body. I see an immediate response if I have too much sugar, and that same thing goes for fruit. I've spoken about in videos before, you know, if you're sensitive to sugar as well, or you know, with acne, just be wary with how much fruit you're having. It's about balance and moderation, knowing how much your body can take. Obviously I don't have dairy, like I've already spoken about that before. And grains, like I remember recently, I don't know which video it was, but I said to you guys, like recently in the last couple of like months, I've figured out my body just doesn't really like grains. And then obviously we know that I love my healthy fats, so yeah, there's that. And then it also says, in addition, eating 2 or 3 meals a day, no snacks, which to be honest with you I don't do. I do have snacks. But then it says avoiding food after 8 p.m. seems to help balance hunger, hormones and blood sugar, and promote fat burning. Now if you watched my last video, the 5 healthy habits I never skip, the last one I said in that was I have my dinner before 8 p.m. and I went into exactly why. And you know, just reading that whole paragraph, I was like, literally everything that I've figured out my body loved by listening to it and, you know, responding to what it's telling me, I've actually pretty much am that diet, and that's exactly what they recommend for hypothyroidism. So that is what's worked for me. I don't know whether it's right to say I've cured it, because it's not something that completely goes away and that's it, I never have to think about it again in my life, but I can definitely say I have balanced it, so I just do not experience any of the symptoms that I had when I first started out finding out I had hypothyroidism. So yeah, that is pretty much my experience and everything that really does work for me. I would say if there's any like big advice I can give if you've got hypothyroidism, is focus on your hormones, because that's what it all comes down to. I actually have a full playlist literally called like how to balance your hormones or something like that, so I'll leave that listed down below if you want to go see all my videos on balancing your hormones. Oh, and then the other thing would be just to make sure you have good iodine levels. If you guys suffer with hypothyroidism, I'd love to hear down below what your like daily lifestyle tips are. But I hope this video has been helpful hearing my experience, and yeah, that's it for me guys. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, want to see more from me, and come join the family. I don't know why I keep saying that, join the family. I've just said it ever since I was really young. I don't know why. Every time I say family, I always say family. But also it means the world to me if you can give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because it helps me out so much. Anyway, have a wonderful day guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.